What's good, y'all? Welcome to Conversation Piece, your place to discover the untold stories of Indianapolis through the perspectives of all of its beautiful people. My name is Patrick Armstrong. I am your host, and I am super excited to be back again in 2025, the year of community. This week is a very special episode. Why is it so special? I hear our millions and millions of followers and listeners currently asking. It's special because it is WNBA All-Star weekend here in the Nap, and I am super excited to have just more basketball adjacent conversations on the show anytime that I can, and it's really exciting to be able to do this now for All-Star weekend. So shout out to the W, and then shout out to Indy Arts Council for sponsoring this episode and making this happen. So shout out to them. Learn more about the Indy Arts Council at www.indyarts.org. Now, my guest today is an ever-growing designer, painter, and muralist whose work can be seen across the city, from Clay Terrace to Indiana Avenue to Fountain Square, where some of her work is currently featured as part of the Emboss Network's WNBA-themed pop-up shop. And speaking of the basketball, her work is going to be featured somewhere in and around the Indianapolis Arts Garden, and we are going to get into it during this All-Star weekend. Again, shout out to the Indy Arts Council for that. And lastly, she is the second guest recently that we've had on the show whom I've discovered has a legit Wikipedia page, which is awesome. So we're going to get into it right now. Without further ado, it is my great privilege and joy to welcome Amiah Mims to the show. Amiah,
hello.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate this.
Absolutely. All right, so I'm going to start off with a difficult question. I mentioned that you had a Wikipedia page. Were you aware of this?
I was like, I think there was a little memory back in my head about having a Wikipedia page. I'm pretty sure they did a project on it at last year's Butter, and that should be the catalyst for that.
That makes sense. Molly came on the show, Molly Bacon, and I had mentioned that I found a Wikipedia page for her, and I go, it's legit because not only does it have some early life section, the career section is filled out. So I'm like, if you got the early life in there and the career, you know it's a real Wikipedia page.
It's legit.
Did you build that, or did you just give information and people ran with it? I gave the information,
nice. And we trusted the team to take it and do it. But yeah, you definitely reminded me just now that exists. All right. So I'm gonna have to go check it out now.
Definitely check it. I mean, it's a strong Wikipedia page.
Good.
Entry.
I'm glad to hear that.
I gave just a little bit of an intro here, but you've done a lot of things, and you're a really incredible, amazing human being. So I was wondering, for people who may not know who you are for some reason, if you don't mind sharing just a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah. So again, my name's Amiah Mims. I am born and raised here in Indianapolis. Grew up on the Northwest side. I, for the longest time, was known as the Gymnast. I did gymnastics my whole life up until I was 22 years old. I went to Kent State University and did collegiate level gymnastics all the way through school. And that was me for a really long time. Until I graduated, and I ended up working at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for about 5 years, utilizing my major, which was graphic design, visual communication design. So I worked there in the creative department for a while, up until 2021, where I decided to start my own creative services company called Works by Mimsy. Mimsy's me. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Just kind of riding this wave as long as I can. It's been really enjoyable getting to kind of tap into that native tongue, if you will. Sure. Tap into creativity with more intention than I feel like I ever have before. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now, and just having a good time doing it.
I'm here for it. Creating with intention. I love that. While you were the gymnast, how much were you like pursuing creative expression or art in any way?
Not a whole lot. It was always there. Sure. It was always more in the hobby category. I always could draw. I could always paint. I took art classes in high school. But, gymnastics was a very attention demanding sport. And so when I got to college, that was the first time I kind of got to, choose to put art or creativity more on in I don't know what the word it is that I'm looking for, but putting creativity more as a priority,
Sure.
I guess.
Well, then being more intentional.
Right, exactly. Being more intentional about it. So that was kind of the first time I actually went to college originally for fashion design. Very quickly realized that was not for me.
Okay.
And then graphic design was a much better fit. So it was a lot, again, more intentional with that creativity and learning to hone in on those skills and all that sort of stuff. So at that point in time, it was about, I would say, even of my attention, because again, couldn't totally not think about gymnastics. I got a team, I got, scholarship, I got all these things I got to take care of. But, this is also my career on this side of things. So definitely got more attention for the first time in college, for sure.
Were you in college when you started to be a little bit more intentional about creating and having that be part of your study? Were there anything in particular? I think you have a pretty unique style with what you do and what you create. And I'm wondering, was that showing up then? Or were you just still like influenced by a lot of stuff and creating what you wanted to create?
I think I wouldn't say I had a style for like back then. I did kind of use the same materials. I used to only create on cardboard for a while.
Oh, okay.
Just because one, it was available. It was inexpensive. And, the whole recycling aspect to it was also attractive to me. So I only created on cardboard for a really long time using like charcoal pastels and just like very grunge and like dirty and like hands all chalky and all that sort of stuff for a really long time. And again, I think though that was just kind of the raw, just coming out, just doing it to do it because it's here and this is what I have and here we go. And I definitely think my style has matured with me, which I think was probably what a lot of people could say about their artwork. It's matured with me. I've learned to use a lot more color. My style now is a lot more bright, a lot more bold, when previously it was definitely more, blacks, whites, and browns, like this table, basically. I definitely didn't have I wouldn't say I had like a specific style. It was more of just, again, what was available at that time. We're going into it still to this day. I wouldn't say that my style is fully developed.
Sure.
But,
I think it's ever evolving for everybody. When anything that they do, it's like you kind of, the more time you spend with it, the more change that there is. So, what was it about the raw like griminess of just like getting your hands into creating art? Because I feel like a lot of people, like, they learn with the brushes and the pencils a little bit, and I'm sure you probably had some of that education and training growing up, but I feel like not everybody just dives into just like, I'm gonna get my hands dirty to make.
I'm a little bit the opposite. So I, again, only had really about one class in high school.
Oh, okay.
For art specific. And I did art all through high school, but it was just the one art class.
Sure.
And I didn't really take any art classes in college.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay, gotcha.
I think, again, it was just a little bit more foundational at that time. It just felt raw. Like, it's just like, it felt like an extension of me at that time.
Okay.
Whereas as I've developed, I've learned to utilize the brushes and,
Well, not that you even have to use those things
not that
to make art.
To. But
Okay, so you went to school for graphic design specifically. Okay, so that's making me think like the graphic design. First off, can I ask for you to differentiate between like what's like graphic design, what's like art? Are those two different things, or?
Yeah. In my brain, I think they are.
Okay.
Which is something that, kind of has a tug of war sometimes. Sure. But I feel like graphic design for me, we're problem solvers. I feel like that's kind of how we're taught, is you're presented with a prompt, you're presented with a problem, and now I need you to find the best solution visually for this problem, if you will. Whereas art, there isn't a problem to necessarily solve. It just kind of is whatever you want it to be. So sometimes those two things can be very polarizing. And I definitely have bled what I've learned and techniques and stuff from visual communication design into my artwork in terms of composition and, negative space and white space and all that sort of stuff. And this doesn't feel balanced here. And so I definitely use a lot of the things that I've learned in that phase of my life now. And they do intermingle a little bit. But I also am working on not letting them intermingle too much, because it can also be a little stifling and box you in, and it doesn't allow that creativity to come through as organically. So that's kind of how I would explain the difference between the two. Again, I think visual communication design or graphic design is it's tight. Like, again, it's intentional. You're doing things for a reason. Everything you do in design is for a reason. I put it here for a reason. And there's always kind of an explanation that goes behind it, whereas artwork does not need that. You can choose to put it in there, but it doesn't necessarily need that, because I'm creating it hopefully for myself and not necessarily for the client.
For sure.
Unless it's a commission.
I love that. For sure. Get that money. Get that bag. I love that definition of graphic design as problem solving, because I was thinking about it as you were talking about, like, creating on cardboard and recycling and using resources that are already available or accessible to make new or repurpose or whatever the case might be. I was like, okay, that's like boundless. And graphic design, while you probably have freedom to move around a little bit and solve the problem, graphic design seems a little more boundary.
Yeah.
And like you said, it could box you in a little bit. And I like that you're like, sometimes I do intermingle a little, because sometimes it's like, okay, maybe we need a little more structure in what we're creating, or a little more intention. But also when I'm a graphic designer, maybe we need a little bit more of that outside the box thinking when it comes to solving this problem. And I think, and I like that you're just like, not too much overlap. How do you navigate that line?
We are navigating. That's a current thing that's happening.
In navigation.
Yes. I definitely think, again, just practice. I think I've learned that point when I get to in my artwork, like, ooh, you're adding too much pressure to this. That, again, that boxed in feeling kind of starts to happen. The perfectionism starts to kick in, that sort of things. And I find myself entering like a freeze mode.
Like a writer's block.
Yes, kind of, I don't really know how to attack this, because like I'm trying to put too many things in it. And then it can kind of be the same way with the graphic design stuff too, of like, this might be a little too free. Let's hone it in a little bit, or like bringing in, different processes from each into the other, and just like learning with time what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
So I would just say, again, we're in navigation of kind of figuring out the one side of the line versus the other. But yeah, I think it's fine for the line to blur a little bit here and there. But I think just time and learning is really what I've learned to do. Like patience, we'll figure it out together.
Patience, like that. I love this, like learning with time. I feel like art is in itself meant to be slow, or I consume slowly, but also created slowly, because it doesn't just come out of nowhere usually, I don't think. And graphic design, again, like problem solving is like you have a deadline, you have people that you're working with. It's like there's so many other factors that go into it. And while it can be good to maybe apply some of that, it's like for art, we don't want to speed up in the process, I don't think.
And it's interesting that you say that, because that's definitely kind of one of those obstacles that I've been kind of learning over these last 4 years that I've been operating underneath this business, is this all happened very quickly for me. And of course, I'm going to revert back to, my training and all this sort of stuff. So if I'm going into a painting, I'm like, well, what am I going to paint? What's the prompt? Like I'm creating basically a problem for me to solve because that's the only way I'm used to getting creativity to come out. And, at this point in time, I do think I found a healthy way to integrate that into my process with that learning and that understanding that that's the best way for me to generate ideas.
Yeah.
But it definitely is it's an interesting thing. Cause I was busting out artwork like so fast. And I was just like, oh, this is like, I'm going to burn out real quick. Like I'm going to burn out really quickly if we keep doing this. So, it is different in terms of pace. Like I think that's a really good addition kind of to that definition. Like I think, like you said, graphic design it's client-based. It has boundaries. You kind of need to bust things out quickly based on deadlines, all this sort of stuff. And I was trying to do that with my artwork, but it was hard because artwork doesn't always have a deadline and like all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and then you're the boss. Like you're the person setting the deadline. And it's like, well, I can't yell at myself. Yes. I can, I guess. But, okay.
I do, but
sure, I do the same thing. You don't want to know what's going on here.
Right.
Okay. So like you bring up having to create like super quickly. We just like actually met in person for the first time at a recent Creative Mornings at the Emboss Network shop in Fountain Square. And they mentioned that during the talk about how Mariah was like, hey, I need a bunch of artwork to film this. And we have to do it in a short amount of time. When I think with like, because you run your own creative shop and then like you have client work, you do your own artwork, and then you want to tap into community and do and work in collaboration with other folks as well. Again, you're in navigation at all times of the line of how do I do this and balance this? How do you decide and like discern that for yourself?
Like which project gets a yes?
Which one gets the yes, or even more of like an emphatic yes, where you're like, I might, commit a little bit more to this.
Yeah. I do think that obviously time is a factor into what projects get to say yes, but I really think it's almost similar to how, Mariah, we're talking about Mariah Ivy, hey girl, kind of like how she answered that same question. I think it really depends on what it is that I actually want to do with my time. I actually am listening to an audiobook right now that's called like, I Didn't Do the Thing Today. And it's basically talking about procrastination, guilt, and like all that sort of stuff. And it goes hand in hand with, again, how do I want to utilize my time? And they kind of made this analogy of like, maybe instead of time management, it should be more of a love management. Like, how am I managing the love that I give in these moments? So that way it doesn't feel wasted. Like if I'm doing something that I love or I'm doing something that I really enjoy, then it's not a waste of time or resources because I'm getting something out of it. So I think I kind of try to, ask myself that question, is this a project that I want to do? And I think if that answer is yes, then, yes, I'll usually will say yes. Again, there's other factors, influences, what time, monetary, compensation, all that sort of stuff. Have I paid my bills this month?
That's an important one.
Okay. So there are definitely times where I do say yes to a project that I don't necessarily want to do. But, sometimes you got to say yes to things you don't want to do in order to get that yes somewhere else. But yeah, I would say that I usually kind of start asking myself, just do I want to do this project? I also enjoy projects that have, again, this is I'm glad we've talked about graphic design versus artwork and all that sort of stuff, because I love the project that gets to combine both of them, because it feels a lot more natural to me.
Because you get to tap into both parts of it, which
I don't have to
you
fight.
don't get to
exactly,
as often.
I don't. And it's like, I don't get to fight the two versions of me, which is really nice. So I love that project that has enough of a prompt to like get me going, and like but there's also enough trust there that no matter what the outcome is going to be, like it's gonna relate to what the prompt is type of thing. So I love projects like that. And I feel like it's pretty easy for me to decipher nowadays of like, is this going to be that kind of project? So that gets me excited.
I really love that. Thank you for sharing that, because like I think I talk about a lot recently. I started podcasting because it's part of my identity journey. And it wasn't until like a year ago that I really started to be able to embrace and live as my most whole version, the most whole version of me. And I love that you share, it's like, projects that you get to be both the graphic designer and the artist and pull them together. Like that's just exactly what made me think of. And it just made me feel really warm inside. Yeah. So I appreciate you sharing that.
I'm glad we can relate on that.
No, for sure. I'm just like, I like when people are just like, can I be all of me?
Yeah.
And like, can I embrace that? Even if it's like, I can't do it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, can this be something that I can do?
It's always nice to have those moments, again, where you don't have to pick and choose and you don't have to work your brain too hard. You just get to be, again, a little bit more organic, which I think is, it's a nice moment to just be.
100%. I like to just be.
Yeah.
So kind of on this line, and maybe it's slightly different, but like I mentioned at the beginning, like your work is all across the city in many places, including you did a mural for the Indianapolis Recorder, which is, I believe, the fourth oldest Black-owned newspaper in the country.
Correct.
And they talked about at the Emboss Network at the Creative Mornings. It talked about taking up space, and now we've just talked about like being able to embrace all sides in order to like to just be, to not think about it too hard, but just to create. Additionally, the other thing I wanted to add was like you were one of the muralists for the Black Lives Matter mural on Indiana Avenue and on Washington, right? They did one like the boarded windows one. Yeah. So like, I feel like that is, to me, from an outside perspective, that is an opportunity to maybe pull both of those two things together and embrace that. What was that like for you, if you don't mind sharing? Was that an opportunity to do that? Or because it was tied to different aspects of your identity, maybe was it like more pressure to create in that situation?
Do you mean like murals in general?
So I mean those murals in particular, because they are specifically highlighting the Black experience.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering and now that you just shared, I like projects where I get to embrace that. Were those projects that you got to do that?
Yeah. So definitely the Boarded Up Windows Murals for Justice project, that was also through the Indy Arts Council. And it was back during 2020, during COVID, during the racial uproar. All of those things were going on. And that was actually the very first mural I've ever done. And it, again, was more of a need during that time. I think a lot of people during that time were experiencing so many different emotions. You're trying to regulate. You're also trying to name what the emotions are, like just all the things. And then trying to do it in isolation. And like, so there was just so much going on. And I remember when I saw that call out, I was just like, I need to do this because it, again, was a way for me to express, what was going on in a way that I knew would be received and understood by not messing it up with my words.
Sure, for sure.
Because I'm definitely the type, when I'm like a high emotion, like it's just going to come out like, like it's not going to be articulated very well. But when it comes to expressing or articulating through my artwork, like I think that's a lot more of a clear
That's the language.
Picture, right?
That's like your first language.
That's that native tongue that I was mentioning before.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what that felt like. It was a need to do it, a need to speak out in a way that I knew would be understood. So that specific mural, again, first mural I ever did, I was nervous. Like I was definitely nervous about it. But again, I knew it wasn't, my need to do that mural was not for people to like it. It was for me. It was for me to get it out. So I think that also took a little bit of that pressure off as well, to get it done, get started, all of those things. But yeah, that mural is what segued into the Black Lives Matter mural. So I got brought into that project via the first one. And again, it was kind of the same thing. Although I will differentiate the two, because my window mural, which was on it was on the side of the building, it was on a piece of glass, that store's windows had not been knocked out, but they wanted to participate. So they were like, well, you're not going to be painting on wood like everybody else. You're going to be painting on glass. And I'm like, oh, okay. For my first mural, it's fine.
Awesome.
It doesn't matter what the material is. I've never painted on glass before in my life. I was trying to do so much research on what paint, all the things. But I think that message was there was a lot more hurt and a lot more pain, I think, in that mural. Whereas my Black Lives Matter letter, I did the A in black. Yeah. I wanted it to be more hopeful and aspirational. And I think that's a difference between those two. But yeah, again, it just kind of was part of what I was feeling at the moment. But both of them were very impactful projects for me. And like you said, initially, definitely, again, kind of bringing all the aspects of me into one place at one time. It was definitely a very impactful experience, one that, I'm never going to forget either one of those projects, to be honest. And get to tell my kids and my that's something that I always kind of will really hold close to the heart, close to the chest. And then following the Black Lives Matter mural, went into the Recorder that you mentioned, and that mural was huge. Yeah. And so that was, again, my third mural that I've ever done. I remember they did a call out for it, and, I'm just going to apply, see what happens. And they're like, oh, we pick you. And I'm like, oh, cool. Great. I've done two. I'm cool. And I remember I had, Google map search the building and was looking at the space. And I was like, oh, this has to be the wall that they want me to do. And so we had scheduled the walkthrough, and I show up, and, I'm trying to be all professional. I know what I'm doing. I'm here, I'm going to take notes. I got my field notes in my little pocket, and I'm ready to go. And, I was like, okay, so is this the wall that you're looking for? And they were like, oh, no. We want the whole side of the building. And I was like, oh my goodness. Okay. Mm-hmm, right. And again, right. Okay. Got it. No problem. No big deal. It was a big deal.
Huge deal.
I was definitely planning to approach that project with just my paintbrush and, go at it, treat it like a giant canvas. And do I think it would have turned out fine had I approached it that way? It would have been all right.
Yeah.
But I remember mentioning landing the gig to my dad, who is construction, project management background. He and my mom owned their own construction company for multiple years. And he was like, no, you cannot. This doesn't work just like a you have to, this is different.
Yeah.
This is different. So, we had lots of talks about how to approach it. I went out and I got a projector because he was like, you need to you already have the sketch, project. So it's symmetrical.
Shout
you don't have
Dad
one
for the great
idol.
idea.
Oh yeah. So he was giving all kinds of tips. As of right now, this is a construction project, if you will. And he definitely saved the day because I had to get scaffolding and 24-foot ladders and harnesses and all this stuff. And he was just like, babe, chill. You got yourself into it, but I'm going to help you out. So shout out to Dad for helping me. But again, just another example of, how all of these projects you learn so much about yourself. I learned so much about my dad, and it's just Dad. He knows what he's talking about, but does he really know what he's talking about? And
I say that about my dad
exactly,
all the time.
Right. And so that was kind of first time that we got to work together. So I learned a lot about him, and so I would say that all three of those projects were very influential to where I'm at now. I learned so much on those three jobs alone. And now that I've done that Recorder, I'm I can do any
size mural. JW, you don't need to put posters up.
You don't need to add it up anymore.
I'll
just paint it up there. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I learned a lot on those three jobs.
I really appreciate you kind of walking us through each of those. And I have one more question about the recorder, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I appreciate you talking about like the reasoning why behind the windows and then the A in the Indiana Avenue mural. And I read that you said you wanted to capture generation with the recorder mural. And now hearing that you got to work with your dad on it to do that, it's like you like manifested generational work to do so. I was just wondering, you already talked about it really, just the process. And I'm just like, what does that mean to you? Like, what does that word or like that concept of generation mean for yourself as a young Black woman here in Indianapolis, who, you know, we have like a really strong like Black community here. And like, it's like we are like a friend of the show, Samson Levinson, constantly trying to uncover that history. Those are generations. Like I was just wondering and curious, like what that means to you.
I think generation to me, or generational, it's almost like having a built-in team. And I've never, so bear with me, because I've never been asked that question before. So this might come out a little all over the place. But my initial thought when you were saying that is, it takes me kind of again back to gymnastics. And I just remember that moment of like going into college, being nervous because I didn't know anybody. But it's like, but I have a team that like is going to be there. I'm going to be able to learn from them no matter what. Like we're going to meet day one and we all are going to be a part of this one thing together, you know, kind of trying to strive for this one goal. And I think generation or generational kind of has that same feeling to me of like, I am able to learn from the past. And it's kind of this built-in team that I can go to learn things. I know it's going to be there. And then I get to pass it down to somebody else too. And I hope they feel the same way, that they can come and learn from me. So it kind of just feels like, again, a cycle, which is kind of what it is. But of kind of just built-in knowledge, built-in history, built-in wisdom, built-in lessons.
Like a support system that already exists there.
Basically. And you can just kind of tap into that network whenever you kind of need it. And then when this journey that I'm on is kind of me uploading to the network for the next like person. So I hope that makes sense. Like 100%. I said, I've never been asked that before. So
I think it's an incredible answer. It made me think of two things, but I'm going to share one specifically.
I'd love to
we had
hear
Chantel Massey on the show.
Okay.
And one of the things we talked about was I talked about like creating or writing in isolation because it feels like it's a solitary thing. And she shared that nobody ever really creates in isolation, because if you're reading something or no matter what you're doing, it's building upon what is there already.
I love that.
And I was like, and when you're talking about, I'm like, oh, like that's what that means. Like generation is like the generational aspect of everything is that you have, these are the people you're in conversation with, even if they're not literally sitting across from each other having the conversation. Like that's your support. You can find support there if you choose to dive into it.
Yeah, if you choose, it's there type of thing. And you can kind of take what you need, whatever works for you.
What's the thing? Like, especially history, it's like you can go into it and out of it as you want.
Right, exactly.
Like, it's going to be there. It's not going nowhere. I mean, people will try and make it say that it's going places, but it's still there.
No, it's still there. You can try to cover it up, but it's still there. But no, I like how she said that. I'm a fan of her, so.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she's really cool.
Okay. So you were the gymnast, obviously athlete.
Yes.
Basketball player.
Not that.
Okay. Basketball fan?
You know, I'm not even going to lie and say I was even a fan. Okay. Yeah.
I have to ask then, did you become a Pacers fan this past year?
I did.
Okay. All right.
So no, I definitely was. Okay. So let me say it correctly. So nobody like starts commenting in here like, you didn't watch any games. So the way my anxiety is set up, watching a lot of sports, it makes me nervous.
Okay.
So I think it's something about like, you know, channeling like what I used to feel when I would like
100%.
get
You have
into
that in your body.
So it's
for
like
sure.
as soon as like when I'm watching, I'm just like, oh my God, like I'm so nervous. So as the Pacers were progressing and stuff in this season, I'm just kind of would check in every now and then. Like I knew a game would be playing. My boyfriend would always be like, oh, I can't tonight. Like, the Pacers are playing, like I gotta watch. And I'm like, okay, like you watch that. I'll do my own thing, but I would definitely be like checking in just to like keep updates on what was happening. And then of course, as they kept progressing, like I was like, okay, like I feel like I need to start watching so I actually know what's going on. But yeah, I watched the last 2 final games and, it was that initial one, the prior to the last one, obviously that one was a great game. Like, and it again started off like very nerves. And then as it was progressing, I'm like, just so into it. And then, you had the opposite with the final game, which, it starts off with our guy going down and his Achilles. And like, so it's just like, oh my God, like I'm so like, so it was kind of both ends of those, all the feels. But it was fun to kind of tap back into the competitive like sports version of me because we haven't tapped into her in a long time.
Yeah, and that's okay. Like that was
right. I've done that. We're this now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was enjoyable to get back into that like sports life and that sports version of me as well. So I did enjoy the last couple of games that I did watch. So.
All right. Well, I'm here for it. I think I'm not superstitious about a lot, but sports is the one thing I'm superstitious about. And I'm like, you know what? If we were winning and you were like, I'm just going to check in every so often, I'm like, that's the role that you play in the win.
I was like, I'm just going to keep doing this.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I was a little nervous when I started watching that first one. I was like, I don't know, maybe I should have stayed behind the computer, but they won. So I was like, okay, like I can come out, I can watch a couple more. It was fun.
All right. Well, that is our lead into what you got going on. The reason that you're here, we had to get all the context out of the way, but the reason you're here is as well to talk about the work that you're doing this year for the WNBA All-Star game. So I was wondering if you could share what do you have going on?
Absolutely. So I am doing the Arts Garden artwork for WNBA All-Star. And it should be going up within the next couple of weeks. I'm really excited for the big unveil. But yeah, I'm part of the host committee that's going on here in the city again, in partnership with the Indy Arts Council. And I'm just excited for people to finally see it.
Yeah.
And it's been something that it's been kind of working on for a little while. And it's just nice to see it come to fruition. I feel like that's always my favorite part in like the process when it's like the artwork is done and now it's time for it to finally be seen type of thing. I've got that coming down the pipeline and I'm excited, like I said, for you guys to see it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited to take it in. You were one of the basketball muralists at the NBA All-Star game last year. When did you know you were going to be a part of this weekend?
It was a couple of months ago, maybe about 2 to 3 months ago. I applied and did the application and submission process.
Still got to apply.
Yeah. So, hey, I'm just like everybody else.
Ubiquitous Amiah Mims in the
just like
city.
Everybody else. I got to apply. Fair chances here. So applied and got the gig and just had a decent amount of time to conceptualize my ideas. I actually had 2 ideas that I really liked and they didn't ask for 2, but I turned them in anyway. And it was just like, if you guys won't use both of them, like, let me know. But they're like, no, we're gonna stick to one. But it's the one that I wanted. That's the one that I kind of wanted them to go with. Yeah. So it all worked out well in the end. But yeah, it's a seamless process. Nice. I had my idea and turned it in. They were like, we love it. You have the green light to, implicate and bring it to fruition. So I started working on it. It's a digital piece. Okay. So digital artwork, which is something I've been enjoying
Yeah.
a lot, honestly. It kind of taps into more of the drawing element for me or aspect for me. So it's a digital piece. And again, one of those projects that I talked about in the beginning where I got to kind of blend both of my worlds together, which is why I think I enjoy the digital installation so much, is because I get to take my graphic design background in terms of file setup and resolution and all that sort of stuff and pair it, marry it with the art aspect and the drawing and the creation. So yeah, it was a really good process. Again, one of those ideal projects where the two worlds get to blend pretty seamlessly.
What was the biggest difference from last year's All-Star game to this year's All-Star game and like the work that you're doing?
It's just a different tap in. Last
Were
All-Star,
you part of the host committee at the NBA All-Star game as well?
No, I was not on the host committee for NBA. Again, I was just more of an artist. If people wanted to tap into, what I've got to bring to the table, reach out, let me know. And it's kind of the same thing for this as well. It's just different. I'm just tapping into kind of a different version of me. NBA is men's basketball. This is women's basketball. So it just feels a little bit different. I get to bring a little bit more of my experience into the artwork that I'm creating for, this version of All-Star. So that's been nice. It's been nice to bring some more, feminine energy into things, but not in a way that's, not respected and like all that sort of. So it's like been really cool to, again, bring more of a personal experience into these artworks since we're doing it for women's basketball.
For sure.
Yeah.
Give us, since we don't know exactly what we can share, give us one word or phrase to kind of tease out your piece.
I can give you the whole spiel of what it stands for.
Let's do that.
It incorporates flowers and basketball together. And basically the whole concept was, give these players the flowers that they deserve for all of the work that they've been doing, not only in the last couple of months, days, like recent times, but just their entire journey.
For sure.
Most of these women, I'm sure, started basketball at a very young age. And it's been a long, hard working journey. And I think sometimes, we forget to congratulate them and, recognize.
Especially the former athlete yourself.
So it's like we forget to congratulate and, recognize the work that they've done. So basically it's a gift from the city to the players coming in. So I titled it For You. It's basically just kind of a give them your flowers type of moment.
I love it. And I feel like you must have been setting me up for a recurring segment that we have on this show called Give Them Their Flowers.
Give them their flowers.
Shout out to Madeline McKinnon and Fria's Flowers for sponsoring this segment. But this is a segment where we just ask our guests to shout out a person or persons that they feel like deserve their flowers right now. So Amiah, who do you feel like deserves their flowers?
Oh my goodness, you're putting me on the spot. Honestly, maybe I'll even just say Madeline is my person, because just as she was dropping these off, I told her that, the artwork that's going on the Arts Garden is very like
literally.
It's literally like very similar and really embodies the work that she does. Again, giving people their flowers and utilizing this is art, this is art that we're looking at. I was telling her that the image that'll be going up is very, like, she's done literally what my image is. So I was like, this is perfect.
Imagine.
Yes. I was like, this is perfect. Definitely shout out to her for this beautiful arrangement. And I haven't seen her in person for a while. So it was nice for her to come and drop this off.
Yeah, I'm glad that
worked
I'm glad
really
you're both
well.
here at the same time then.
So I definitely think she deserves some flowers. And then, I don't know, I guess, you're putting me on the spot. I'm trying to think of who else do I want to hand some flowers to. I feel like a lot of the behind the scenes people deserve
100%.
Their flowers, especially again, as we're entering into this super busy season where the whole city puts its whole heart into, being welcoming space for all of the guests and, visitors that we're going to have coming up and for All-Star Weekend. And I think a lot of work goes into that. A lot of people aren't seeing all the work that they do that goes into that. So I think they deserve their flowers as they've been working for the last couple of months to, make this specific weekend something really special. And just for all the work that they do and any other type of experience that they're putting on that they don't always get to be in the spotlight.
Yeah, so, 100%.
That's my answer.
I love it. Great answers. Shout out to Madeline. Flowers for Madeline. Flowers for anybody that volunteers or works behind the scenes at events. That's big for us, highlighting those voices and organizations out there that host events. Go ahead and partner with Madeline. Maybe you can give your volunteers some literal flowers. But shout out to Madeline. Shout out to Alleycat, too, for this really dope vase. But Frida's Flowers, Indy.com for all of your floral needs. I got a couple more questions. I'm going to let you get out of here.
No, you're good.
You said, so your piece for the All-Star game is titled For You. You said it's a piece from the community, from the city to the players. And I love that you said that because it's like, we've been talking about your art be able to create for me. And it's like, even though this is a piece that you created, it's like for everyone. And it's not only for them, but it's from everyone. Yeah. It's like from community. I was wondering, as we see more big deal events come into the city, as we see more eyes and more eyes, ears, everything, awareness about like the arts and creative community here in the city. What would you, maybe as in two parts, as both an artist, as an active participant, and also as a fan, as a spectator, what do you want to see more of in and for or from this community for the rest of 2025?
I would definitely just say more of and continued just support for local artists. I think we're entering a time, we've got AI, like we've got all of these other things that are going on. So it's always nice when, you see somebody choosing local versus mass produced. So I would say just more of that, support your local artists. We've got a really, really talented community of artists, creatives in general. And I think more of that always, you can always use more support, tap into your local community. So I think that'll probably be my forever answer, honestly.
For sure. I'm here for it.
Tap into what you got.
Tap into what you got. Support your local artists. Do not host AI art shows with terrible names.
Don't do that.
Do not do that.
Don't do that.
Do not do that.
Don't do that.
You're already doing it. Don't do it. Okay, speaking on the line of like us having a lot of really incredible people just in the city who are, we give people the flowers. Now I'm just wondering, like, anybody that's inspiring you right now that you feel like people need to know about, either artist or creative or otherwise.
Let me think. I definitely feel like, again, there's just so many artists here. Yeah. Like, I'm even learning about new people and just trying to learn about different creatives. Jess, food photographer Jess, she's amazing. I think she's probably one of my favorite photographers here in the city.
Okay.
And I think that, more people need to know who Jess is. And just again, I love hearing her talk about her craft and her stories behind, her food photography, because that's not something that you see often. I'd give her a shout out. My guy Fitz is upstairs, he's great, doing great things. Oh my gosh, this is going to be one of those questions. later today, or I'm like, oh, I should have said this person, this person, this person.
Always. That's how the flowers usually go.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know who I'm supposed to
I'm
say.
like, I
There's
don't
not
know.
enough
Everybody,
space.
you get a flower.
Yeah,
I'm going to be
you
the
get a
Oprah
flower.
of
Yep.
flowers. You get a flower, you get a flower. Everybody deserves their flowers. But no, seriously, I do think that there's so many people. Again, I'm going to leave here and I'm going to send you a message.
It's all right.
Add
If
them
you
in
want,
the caption.
I will put it in the show notes. We're going to link Jess, we'll link Fitz, but anybody else you want, we'll throw them in there
There's
so
so
they can
many
find them.
people that I just think are doing a great job, and it's been really nice, watching people hone in on their craft. And I'm still like to think that I'm very new to this, and I always enjoy like learning from people who have been doing it for a really long time. But it's also been nice to see other people on the same like trajectory as me, and just watching how they've grown real time type of thing. So those are the type of people I'm trying to think of. But again, you put me
out there.
They're out there. You put me on the spot.
If you tap into your local community, you'll find them.
Learn. You'll learn about it.
100%. Well, you are one of those people as well. Doing amazing things. Thank you for coming on here.
Yeah,
Thank you for
thanks
sharing,
for having
being
me.
vulnerable, and being a part of this. In addition to All-Star Weekend, checking you out at the Arts Garden, what else do you have coming up? What are the best ways for people to follow you, support you, however you want them to do that as we go forward? Yeah,
so I mainly am on Instagram at Works by Mimsy is my business page. So you can check out all of the artwork that I've done and then stuff that's upcoming. I try to keep it as updated as I can. But right now I'm honestly kind of chilling.
Okay.
Which is like nice. I feel like there was a time basically the first, what quarter are we in? First whole quarter for the most part and half. Yeah, I was like, whatever. I was just so busy and so much stuff happening at one time, and then it all ended at the same time. So I'm just floating out here right now. And if you need me, I'm available. But it's nice. I'm trying again. Like I told you, I'm listening to that audio book, and I'm just trying to utilize my time. People try to optimize their time, and then when the free time is available, you don't know what to do with it. So I'm trying to enjoy the downtime while also just taking care of other things that I need to. I've been working on my website for the last 3 years. So maybe we'll get back into that. Who knows? So really just trying to take care of some admin stuff. I this year have launched prints for the first time. Nice. So I think that's something that I've been pushing for people who have been wanting to support my work. This is a much more available, affordable way to do that. So I've got lots of prints available, and stay tuned for the Indy Arts Council Arts Garden artwork and July's print, because they are going to go hand in hand. So
I'm here for it.
That's what I got coming up.
All right. That's Works by Mimsy. It'll be linked here in the show notes, but easy to find online or anywhere else. Get you some prints. Get to the Arts Garden and check out Amiah's work. Check out all the incredible artists who are going to be doing all over the city and all around downtown for the All-Star game. Go support women's basketball. Support basketball in general, because I love basketball. Miles Turner, we just found out literally as we got on here, just signed a deal with the Bucks. So goodbye, Miles. Thank you for being here. And other than that, just be kind and tap into your local community. Amiah Mims, thank you for being here, and thank you for being you.
Thank you.
100%. For everybody else, new episodes Tuesdays, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Conversation Piece Pod for everything else Conversation Piece related. Shout out to the Indy Arts Council for sponsoring this episode and supporting the show. IndyArts.org for everything Indy Arts Council related. And again, make sure you get downtown for the All-Star game. Lots of really cool activations, lots of really cool art going on. For the show, that is John Overton and Popular Rapture on the mics. That is Riley, Young Rilo here on the cameras right now. We got shout out to Pattern and the Studs for the space. Shout out to Madeline McKinnon and Frida's Flowers for sponsoring the show. Shout out to Alley Cat Ceramics for this awesome vase. Shout out to all the cool local people we got all happening back here. Shout out to Amiah for being awesome. One more time for the Indy Arts Council. And last but not least, shout out to me for hosting this show. I've been Patrick Armstrong, and this is Conversation Piece. See y'all soon.